Actually, because I'm still working and I didn't want to.
Okay.
I just hit the little button at the top and it says recording now.
Oh, don't record yet. Stop recording.
We will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with
liberty,
and
justice for all.
Right. And I am trying to bring up my agenda. Were we going to start right out with the musical presentation?
Yeah, I think we should.
All right. Then
Oh,
why don't we do that? I saw Jamie briefly. Hello, Jamie.
Hello, everybody. Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Yeah. So,
All right. Well, take it away, sir.
great. I'll jump right in. So, yeah, we, as a music department, as you all are aware, it's a very different school year for us all. So we've been working in our own little ways to adjust to this new reality and do the best we can for our students. And about a month ago, I started chatting with Mr. Marinaccio about this idea I had about how we can, even in a very small way, get our kids to record some Christmas music. It actually, it wasn't really with this meeting in mind, but it's a really nice, happy accident. And the thought was if we could have them combine on 3 Christmas carols from K to 12 and edit those together, we could come up with some videos which could easily be shared with the community through Twitter, pages throughout the district. And actually, I know already one of these videos has been shared at the PEC with the seesaw announcements, and that's gone very well. Just a chance to try and get us out into the community a little bit and give our kids a bit of a purpose through these days without concerts and all of these things that they work so hard towards in a normal school year. So what we did is we chose 3 easy carols because we wanted to be able to represent our youngest students through our high school kids. And we as the department picked the right keys that would work for the kids. And we sent out a practice track, which was uploaded to Google Drive, which I recorded of the accompaniment for these pieces. And then I just asked all the teachers to capture some moments of your kids K through 12 singing Jolly Old St. Nicholas, Jingle Bells, and Deck the Halls. And then we pieced them together. I have to give a big thank you to Mark Marinaccio, who's very talented in this way. So he did all the video editing, and he had probably 50 videos altogether between the 3 numbers, and he edited them together. So we have two of the 3 ready to go. We've got Jingle Bells and Deck the Halls, and the 3rd is in process. And we are going to start pushing these out through Twitter pages, and we would love the administration to help us out, sending out to the building Twitter pages and district pages, and we'd be grateful for that. So it looks like we're ready to go. I think what Heather, I don't know which one. Oh, this is Deck the Halls. That's fine. So this is Deck the Halls, Lewiston-Porter, K through 12. So there you go. Just a really,
That was fun.
just a small example of things that we're trying to do to, like I said, get a little holiday spirit and also give our students a chance to feel like they're contributing a little something during this time. You'll notice, obviously, the challenges that we face on a daily basis with needing to be, in some cases, with singers and woodwind and brass players 12 feet apart in performing. So that's always a a challenging adjustment, is like, okay, now do what you normally do, but we're going to make you be 12 feet apart from your neighbor, which is, yeah, it's been a huge adjustment. But I have to say, the kids have been very, very positive through this experience, as difficult as it is. And so I know I speak for the department when I'm really, really grateful for the positive energy that we've seen from our kids. They come to school and they're doing their best, and I do still hope being involved in music is a good outlet for them, even during these COVID times. So our next one is Jingle Bells. Here we go.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey! Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Dashing through the snow in a one-horse open sleigh. All the fields we go, laughing all the way home. Bells on bobtails ring, making spirits bright. What fun it is to ride and sing a sleighing song tonight. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey! Hey!
So there you go. We hope that gave you a little bit of holiday cheer during this time, and we miss not being able to be there to do our yearly caroling for the board every December. But actually, I think this is in some ways even a better way to do this, because it represents all of our students K through 12. And we look forward to sharing this with the community, and we thank you all for doing the same. It's right now, Jingle Bells is on the Lewiston-Porter music Twitter feed, and Deck the Halls will be there tomorrow, and we'll add Jolly Old St. Nicholas in the coming days. So thank you for your support, and we wish you all the best. I know it's a crazy time here, so the music department's right there with you, but we're all in this together, right? So thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for doing it.
So much.
Thank you.
You got it.
You guys hear me? Because I'm having some technical.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We hear you.
Okay, hang on.
We can hear you and see you.
Okay. Well, I would like to thank the music department for putting that together. It's always one of my favorite meetings of the year, is getting to bring the kids in and have the holiday music. And so at least, you know, that was bringing that to us this year. So you can hear me and see me? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm trying to get the agenda, trying to get it on my phone. It's telling me I'm unstable. I'll be really glad when we can get back in person. All right, I would like to move to accept tonight's agenda for December 14th, 2020, if I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? we've accepted. Marissa, do we have any community comments?
We have no community comments.
All right. Then let's move on to our committee schedules and reports. The Special Education Committee will meet in 2 days on the 16th. We will have a report after that. But policy met earlier today. It will meet again on January 11th, but let's discuss what happened today. Anne-Or.
Yes, so you will see further on in the agenda, the second reads are a variety of policies we've gone over before. And in particular, the policy 5676, which is about privacy of student data and teacher and principal data. That is a policy that we've been working on for several months. Nick has shepherded it through, and it's finally ready to go live, as we say. And the others are updates of policies with nothing special to call out. Then in today's meeting, we went through a variety of policies that are in first reads. And the only thing probably worth noting is that we are, there is a new policy, which we have mentioned before, that is an updating of Title IX to include more definition around sexual harassment. And our legal folks at Webster Zazani have gone through that and made their recommendations. So we have accepted their advice as well as the BOCES advice, and we'll be putting that in for a second read next month. There are a couple of policies that are still under review and that Paul is working out with various interested parties. So we're not going into those at this time, although they are listed if you look at the policy agenda. Other areas that we looked at that are of note, at least were of note to me, in reviewing certain of the 7,500 policies, the concussion protocol policy, which is we'll adopt as it is. There's no updates to that, and that has gone well according to plan. The Dignity for All students as well is going through, and the what was probably thought that it might be controversial to some degree, the transgender student policy that was developed fully in 2017. We didn't see any need to make any revisions or updates to that. Paul and Patty tell me that it's gone without any controversy. Anything I missed there, Jennifer?
I think you got it all.
I do want to note that those are not going to be on first read. They'll be on first read in January because the policy met today. So we're just doing the second reads that we had looked at. So just so not everybody's, confused or whatever. And you'll see all of the ones that Anne was talking about in January.
Any questions, someone? All right. Let's see. Facility Planning Committee. Anne, back to you. Any updates?
Back to me. You'll see in the FYI notes, Patty updated the folks from is it Troutman's going to be giving us a review of the condition report, which is in your packet, and it's, I believe, 475 pages or something to that degree. So I'm sure you've all read that. But the work is finally getting underway. It'll be done during break on the floor in the art gallery. And we went through a lot of the areas of the capital improvement project. Things are moving according to plan, which is probably a very good thing. And of course, there have been more emergency work items that have come up, but things are being repaired. And Patty is doing her, I don't know, should we call it budget magic? In order to try and get these things all covered and paid for. And of course, we're always trying to get state aid for a lot of the work. Some of it's come through, some hasn't. I think that's about the summary of it. You'll be interested to read that 475-page report.
A little light reading over the holidays.
Yeah.
So it was the night before Christmas, and we have this 470-page facilities to read to the children.
Exactly.
All right. Let's see. Just reading down my list. The next facilities meeting will be January 27th. We also have a PTSA meeting on January 27th. I don't believe we've had a meeting of the PTSA since our last meeting, and Danielle's not with us, so I think, John, nothing? Okay, so we're good. Do you want to thank them? I think they ran the book fair, correct? And there's been a few things going on, so. Great. Still seem to be having a little technical difficulty on my end, so if there's any issues, give me a shout, okay? How about we move on to administrative reports? Dr. Lyon.
Hello, happy holidays, everyone. So I want to start by reading off who the catches of the week were since we last met. Honestly, the last we met, it was right before Thanksgiving, and there have only been 2 catches since that point due to the Thanksgiving break. So the first one was caught by Janet Cirillo. And so Janet said her catch is Debbie Coulter. Deb is working for the district in accounts payable since July of 2019. She's also responsible for busing and taxes. August and September is the busiest time of year for those positions. This year, there was a new program for tax collection. Also, due to the pandemic, busing became an issue. Deb has proved to be an exceptional worker. Janet said, I give her a lot of credit for what she has accomplished in this past year, and she has become a real asset to Lewiston-Porter. And then Debbie said she wanted to thank Janet for the nomination. She felt very honored. She would like to nominate Jeff Mercy from BOCES in IT. Jeff is always helpful when she has any computer or printer issues. Jeff is just a phone call or text away, even when he's not working in Lew-Port. Although he works for BOCES, his true colors are Lew-Port green and white. He makes a point to say hi to everyone and is interactive with all staff. When he was out due to an injury, our whole district noticed his absence and was thrilled to hear when he was coming back to work. Also, he's such a Bills fan, he makes the Bills days fun. So those were the 2 most recent catches of the week. In terms of the work that's going on out of curriculum instruction and technology, we're still monitoring and supporting the students who selected to go into the fully remote model. And so we have now finished the first marking period for both the secondary and the elementary students. And that has gone exceedingly well, especially considering that we've never done this before. And we've also hit those same mile markers for our hybrid students, which again is also going really well. We have, since our last meeting, Mr. Kaseri released the plans should we have to go to all students being fully remote. And we're working with staff to ensure that they understand and that we're practicing and rehearsing. And for example, today there was a district-wide technology meeting with our district liaisons talking about how we should respond in the event that we would need to go fully remote. What do we need to do proactively to prepare for that in terms of technology? So we're really trying to be ahead of it. And we're also thinking forward to next year. So I've started to think about the implementation of our new science curriculum for next year and trying to budget for that, as well as in the process right now in the curriculum instruction and assessment review cycle to ensure that we are selecting the appropriate materials for math, because next year is the year of math, for piloting what we may want to adopt the following year. So I've been in conversation with all the peer coordinators from across the district, and then the principals as well, to talk about where we are with math and make some informed decisions. And it's very interesting because you have some places like the IEC where things are going really well with the curriculum, and we have the data to support that. So the changes that they're making are not to the curriculum, but to assessments. We have at the high school, because of the timeline for the implementation of the standards, that they're thinking more about interventions and how to support kids who might need that support, because their standards will be changing in the midway through that cycle. And then at the middle school, they're looking for things like alignment to ensure that they're all on the same page. So lots of work taking place across the district. Any questions?
Anybody? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Dr. Gupta?
So this past week I finished up putting in our CARES Act, our second CARES Act application. So we did have to share it with more schools this year, but we've got the applications in, everyone signed off. I met with all of the non-publics. We will be sharing those funds with 7 other schools this year under the new title fund language, where the money follows the child. So that's done. I have just been spending a lot of time contact tracing, working with the county. Mr. Casari shared with you that we got our lab license. We did our first testing on Friday. Dr. Ferguson has been tremendous. He came to one of my meetings with the nurses, trained all the nurses with great care, really took his time. It was very nice. Our first test, as you read in Mr. Casari's notes, went extremely well. Dr. Ferguson did show up and kind of gave us some feedback about some things we could do differently, maybe a little bit better, but overall it was quite successful. At the last meeting, you approved a company called Avena for nursing care. They have really been able to fill every call that we've given them so far. I'm so impressed, and the nurses that we've had from them have been very, very good. It took me a very long time just to get set up with the Claire's reporting system. Friday night, I did our first round of reports, and I'm waiting to hear back to see if they've been accepted or not. So that's really been time consuming. Now I've been working on the transparency report. At the facilities, we did actually have the floor people already started at the high school for the art gallery. They were here today. Today was their first day. We're looking, and you'll be looking at a capital repair, an emergency repair for one of our buildings. We really seem to have a lot of humidity issues in our crawl spaces. Even though we just did the abatement at the PEC, we're still having some pretty bad humidity issues in the crawl space, and that could result in long-term damage. So we really do want to take care of that now. Those are the things I'm working on right away. Food service is going very well. You'll see that we're looking at a summer seamless program. It will not change the way we're operating currently, but it does allow us to get a little bit more money per meal. It's a different program, so we will be engaging in a new contract with our child nutrition provider. They are willing to split the proceeds 50-50. It's really a win-win. They've been doing really a dynamic job. They're not just making lunches for our kids, but they're doing the non-pubs as well right now. That's all.
Thanks, Patty. Anyone, any questions? All right, Mr. Casari, what's you got?
Obviously my messages have kind of brought you up to speed. The biggest issue today is the apparent yellow zone designation for the town of Lewiston. Not that's what's being reported in the Buffalo News, or I haven't even actually seen it. It was someone forwarded that to me. So there's just a lot of uncertainty and not really sure exactly where we as a district sit with this zone designation. So hopefully I'll have more information tomorrow when I have the meeting with Dan Stapleton. Again, I don't how I was notified of it. I didn't see the governor's news conference today. So it's amazing that these zone designations are created in a PowerPoint slide, and you're just kind of trying to figure out and catch up and understand exactly what it all means. And we still don't have the exact boundaries and designations and the timing and when we'll have to begin to initiate all of the zone requirements. The zone requirement for yellow is, again, it's not orange or red, so we'll have to test 20% of our student body randomly over the course of 2 weeks, not a month, 2 weeks. I had thought I don't know what I was thinking, but that's orange and red. It still remains that same way for the yellow zone designation. So we'll start to understand tomorrow where the boundaries are and where we sit with that. And then we'll begin the process of working with the Niagara County Health Department to procure around 450 to 500 tests that we're going to need to administer. And we'll see when they want to kick it in. I'm talking to Mark Laurie, who's obviously in that zone up in Niagara Falls, and they're planning on starting testing on January 6th for the month of January. Given the fact that we will be going into the holiday break, that could buy us some time to pull it all together. Although I think we're by and large ready to bring this together. The largest issue will be with our primary education students and creating time outside of the school day, because I'm quite certain that some of the younger children, their parents are going to want to be with them for the testing. It's not super invasive. We went through it on Friday, but for a small child, I could see where that could be a bit disconcerting. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. But obviously we've got all the consent forms in, which is great. So we know our cadre of individuals that want to test and are willing to test and have given consent to test, and so we can build our 20% off of that. If we have to do a minimum of 300 tests, and if that stays under 3%, then we don't have to test anymore. If that positivity rate is more than 3%, we would have to continue to test every 2 weeks. So we'll have to see how that all plays out. We have not seen any evidence of major outbursts or spread at school. As you know, we tested on Friday and we had absolutely 0 positives. Not that it was a large sample, but certainly we were happy to hear that. So I can't give you much more information to that. I mean, people should also recognize that there's also impact to businesses in the Lewiston community, restaurants in the Lewiston community. It's not just the schools that are impacted by a zone designation. So that was the big news for today, and I tried to at least get that out there so that people would not be wondering. I can only imagine as a parent or as an employee, you hear that and, well, what does that all mean? So I tried to at least stay out in front of it. Not that I was able to give much information, but at least families and our staff recognize that we understand what was stated today and that we are working with the appropriate officials to understand what our next steps are. So I'll have my meeting tomorrow, and then I'm sure Patty and I will be getting together quickly to start to pull that all together. So our next step will be to reach out to Niagara County Health Department and procure all of the tests.
Okay.
I was wondering if anybody had any questions on all of that.
So as of right now, Lewiston is yellow and Town of Porter is not. So
I don't know for sure. I'd have to see
Yeah.
exactly what the boundaries are. Generally, as these things have gone, I would anticipate maybe Monday that the requirements might kick in. But we'll have to see what the governor decides to do. So, because again, it's not just the schools, but you know, businesses have to shut down. They have to go to all takeout. There's a lot of moving parts when you just can't declare it and it starts the next day. So.
no, I understand. Anyone have any questions? I mean, we're kind of just Paul, are we notified through Niagara County Department of Health, or does the New York State Department of Health give us this that we're moving into? We don't know. Okay.
I don't know how we're notified.
Okay.
Apparently, we just watched a news conference.
Apparently we're notified.
And take some screenshots and try to zoom and the.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we will stay posted. Anyone have any questions? Okay. All right, then I would like to move on to our building condition survey and 5-year facilities plan presentation. Do we have Brad with us?
Heather,
Yes, I just promoted him.
thank
Okay.
you.
Yep.
Hi, Brad.
Hi, Brad.
Brad's muted.
Yep, there we go.
There we go.
Unmuted. So you guys can see my screen?
We can.
Okay. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Brad Valancourt with Troutman Associates. We did the building condition survey, 5-year facilities plan, and the last several projects at the district. As far as the BCS process, we start out and we have our team of engineers, architects, down with Paul Feathers and the district's representatives, and we go through, and the building condition survey is a 131 question form. So we use that as a starting agenda, and then we add items to that to get the district stance on it. Then after we do that meeting, then we go out and do field work. For some of the elementary schools, we may be out there for a day. The high school, we may have been out there for a couple days, each one of the Troutman staff. So not everybody was out there at the same time. Our civil engineer was the last one, kind of went around with Paul Feathers. But we go through every basically inch of the buildings and facilities, and then compile all that information, come back to the office. We really start to understand the existing drawings, when all the materials were last installed, the age of them. And then we review the previous building condition survey to get a stance of that also. We also, for anything that's indicated as unsatisfactory, which would be something 5 years and under that needs to be addressed, nearing its end of its life, the district's having maintenance issues with, and then we assign a price to those, or a cost to that. This is our team on the bottom half of the screen, and it's pretty much, with the exception of Charles Moore kind of in the center here, the rest of that personnel is the same team that has worked on every project at Lewiston-Porter. So they're real familiar with the district. before we even did the building condition survey. Like Ann said, we have a 470-page report. That's a building condition survey for every single building in there. The 5-year facilities plan, which we're going to get to, floor plans, and then some reports that the district did. We'll get to those too. This is just a sample of a building condition survey. Just a little snippet of like question 90. It's a standard question, nothing's filled in. This is our response in the building condition survey. So it's pretty straightforward. It's yes, no's, and this one had a 5-year expected useful life, so we assigned a dollar amount to it, and then we had a description of work. So this is the minimum of what SED requires to do. We take this section here, the 90G, and then the cost, and when we do the 5-year facilities plan, we took that question 90 and we broke it out into a little bit more separated items so you guys can understand what each one of those items may cost. Some are lump sums, some are unit prices. It really depends on what that scope item is. So we did this for all the buildings. And this is a form that's kind of a sample of everything that's in there. We give, in the third column is priorities. So we assign a priority to everything. The system rating, cost, and then coordinate that with the actual building condition survey numbering. So the district can use this tool to really derive a future project, understand where the district needs to do repairs. This column here, we indicate if it's a repair, which SED really doesn't aid you on, but that's kind of a fine line where they will, because if you replace one door handle or door knob or lock set, it's a repair. But if you do 100 of them, it's now a major system replacement and you'd get 8 on it. So some of the stuff is just how the scoping is when you bring it into a project. And as far as some of the enhanced services that I talked about that the district did, the first one is a roof inspection and infrared scan. So Tremco was the consultant that went around to each of the buildings and they did an infrared scan, which you can see in the second image here. These are just a few pages from their report. It highlights where there's heat on the roof. So you need a 20-degree temperature difference between the day and then the evening. And wherever the insulation is wet, which usually means there's a leak there, the water retains the heat. So when they shoot the infrared scanner on it, you get a different color. It's more white in this image. So that means there's water in here that's retaining heat, and they spray paint the roof. And in some locations, they can specifically tell where the hole is just by looking at the infrared. Other times it's visual. So the district was able to use that information to go back to the roofing manufacturers and see what was covered under warranty. The stuff that wasn't, they were able to address the patches. Some of these other images are just roof drains that with the tree proximities to some of the trees, you get leaves and debris up on the roof. And then they really put together a report indicating, all of the wet insulation areas, anything that had open seams. And again, like I said, this was done at all the district buildings. The majority of the buildings are all presently under warranty. So they're less than 20 years old or 25 years old. So from a building condition survey standpoint, the roofs are in really good shape. The second enhanced service that was done was at the IEC in the high school. Syracuse Scenery, I would say a couple years ago, came in and did the high school stage rigging investigation. So they have a separate, more detailed report on that, but then they looked at the lighting at the high school and did the same thing at the IEC. So there's a full detailed report on the existing conditions, what's presently there, with the rigging system and the lighting system, their recommendations, overall condition. So it gives you a really thorough understanding of what is there. We then took that and assigned some budget numbers to it and included those in the 5-year facilities plan. The last in-hand survey that was done is a kitchen investigation. We did this at the 4 buildings, not the CRC. And Linda Roth Consulting came in and basically walked through all the kitchens, inventorying every single piece of equipment, whether it was a sink or a stove, a cart, documented that existing condition, what was in need of repair, did an estimate on replacement cost. Some of the equipment in there is original, like the dishwashing machines. They're beyond their useful life, but the district's been doing maintenance on them, so they're not failing, but they're past their life. Other stuff, the district has already replaced some of the equipment, but it gives you, again, a general overview of what may need to get done. They assigned, did an estimate to it for the kitchen equipment stuff. We took it and added in the building modifications that would need to go along with that. And again, we added that to the 5-year facilities plan. Kind of to summarize the top findings at each of the buildings, I'll just kind of flip through this here. So if you see anything in blue, on this one, half of them I would say are in blue. Those blue items are scope items that are included in the present project that we're working on, the 2020 capital project. So at the middle school, I kind of just had a short description and a dollar amount of the work, but you can see the ones in blue. You got a $2.4 million one. You know, that was the unit ventilators, rooftop units, boiler replacement. We're going through there and we were adding air conditioning. So in doing the air conditioning, we had to address the unit ventilators at the same time, the rooftop units. So that kind of all gets included in the capital project. HVAC control upgrades, again, that's about controlling it. And Patty mentioned about the crawl space ventilation. That was something that was just added to the project. At the IEC, again, keeping the same format, still a lot of blue items. So I went through the building condition survey and on here are basically the top 10 most expensive upgrades or repairs needed. And again, you can see over 50% of them are actually already in the 2020 project. So the district is on the right path to making upgrades to the facilities, addressing the items that need to be addressed. And again, this is a lot with the air conditioning, the boiler replacement. Those are all kind of tied together with the controls. And again, the crawl space ventilation. The PEC, I think there would have been more blue on here, but the 2017 project really addressed a lot of the mechanical, the unit vents, the boiler, retubing. It didn't include the boiler replacement that you still see on here, but it addressed a lot of the bigger items that were on the previous building condition survey. So when that project was done, you guys were picking away at the big items that needed to be addressed. The PEC, the crawl space ventilation, that's the emergency project Patty mentioned. We'll be getting bids in for that on the 22nd of December from 4 contractors to see where we come in budget-wise with that. In addition to the crawl space ventilation is the drainage in the crawl space also. At the high school, kind of the 2 big items in blue is the turf and then the last athletic field replacement. That's at the soccer field in Blakesley Field, or Ilya and Blakesley. In the past, some of the poles have actually fell. They've had to put new ones up. So we're coming in, we're totally removing the poles, providing all new foundations, the pole, the lights, controls for them. And then the synthetic turf at the football field, we're basically ripping off the carpet, looking at the stone base and putting new back on, and reusing the infill. The rest of the items on here, the parking lots is a really big item across the entire district that needs to be addressed. It's probably the biggest item. I know that's been on the district's radar of how they can do that. Masonry restoration is another kind of item that pops up. Plumbing fixtures, this is $500,000. The toilet fixtures, urinals, sinks are probably all original. There's nothing aesthetically wrong with them or functionally. It's just when you look at the age of them, that's what puts it into that category. So that would be something that shows up on this list. But if you aren't having maintenance issues with it, it really doesn't make sense to put that into a project unless you're having mechanical issues with that. Kitchen upgrades, that shows up at pretty much all the buildings, and they're all about $1 million from that study by Roth Consulting. And then the last kind of page here is we added the police building in here that we'll get to. Community resource, again, the parking lot is the big item, and then some just mechanical stuff, AC and exhaust fan. And then some controls. I think another thing that isn't really a big dollar amount that shows up on the other buildings, but it is part of, I think, a major system repair is the phone system is showing up at all the buildings. It's not necessarily a huge dollar amount, but from a safety standpoint, that's usually one of the bigger items along with the PA system that shows up. The maintenance building was really one big item. Again, the parking lot, which now that's not a maintenance building, it's a bus garage. So parking of the buses at that building and then between the other buildings brings up other maintenance issues because those parking areas that they're parking the buses aren't really designed for a bus. They may have been in the driveways and stuff are all designed for that, but usually a parking lot wouldn't be designed for the buses unless somebody specifically knew they were going there. The police building, there's just a few things that wasn't part of our so-called building condition survey, but we field all of the information and present it to you guys, even if it's not on the buildings that we're working on. But there are some items there that need to be addressed. The maintenance building and the police building and the community resource building are the three buildings that you don't get building 8 on. So at the police building, the first one is a fire alarm replacement. The existing system is not functioning. The second item is a roof replacement. That's the one building that actually isn't under warranty. It's actually having leaks. They're having issues with that. And then the rooftop replacement there is the other item. This is kind of a summary of where the district is overall. So as we went through the 5-year plan, we assigned a priority to each one of those. So if it was a priority 1, we assigned a price to year 1 and year 2 and so on. And if you look at the years, it goes from 3 million to almost 7 to 1 3/4 to 500,000 to 24. To give you guys an understanding of budget-wise, how to look down the road 5 years to see when items may need to be replaced. Overall, I think the district is in really good shape. I think the parking lots is the next big item to be addressed. SED they don't want you to do one huge project every 15 years. That's not the way they're set up. The way the MCA is set up is based on a 5-year rolling cycle. They want you to do smaller projects continuously to keep updating the buildings, giving you the building aid. So it's just going through that process. And that's where the building condition survey being required every 5 years. You guys did it this year. You'll do it again in 2025. SED changed the years that everybody does it. Everybody used to do it in 2020 and then 5 years later. This year they decided to stagger it. So Newport actually was in the first cycle. So we did all the field work and we'll be inputting all the information into the state by March 1st. We have to do it. We're actually looking to get that inputted before the end of the year. That was kind of just a quick summary of the building condition survey. I didn't know if anybody had any questions. Like I said, I'm not going to go through the 470-page report.
Did anybody have any questions? I mean, I thought that was can you guys hear me?
It was a very, very, very well done job. Troutman Associates had forged a nice relationship with the district, Paul Feathers, Patty, and, you know, as you can see from the list of facility issues that we are going to need to look at down the road, there's nothing there that is eye-popping, cost-wise, but in terms of, oh my God, I can't believe that needs to be repaired. We are concerned about the roads and parking lots. I can't even begin to tell you when that was last done. Certainly not in the time that I've been at Lewiston-Porter. We are unique here at Lewiston-Porter in that we have really our own road system. It's pretty significant, and it's going to be a bear to try to figure out how we're gonna up or get it back to at least the patching is getting to be a point where it's not really making much of a difference, to be totally honest. We've got major issues in some of the lots, just in terms of their condition. So I don't know, Patty, if you have some thoughts there. It's a head scratcher for sure.
It's just going to take some time. I think we'll need to see where the next couple state budgets come in. We'll hopefully, we've got some tax certiorari funds that I'm hoping we won't have to use. That's money that we can use towards those projects.
Yeah, maybe if we don't have to use it towards people's salaries.
Yes, well, we'll see. We'll see what happens in the next two budget years. We'll get through this budget. I think, you know, we did some significant work at the high school when we redid the addition at the high school. So while that lot is not in great shape, it's at least not as bad as it once was. We did some work when I first got here behind the high school, but for sure there's the lot by our building. We're okay right now where we park the buses, but there's the roadway in general, it's in bad shape.
Yeah, you know, and the other way we're going to, because as Brad mentioned, there is no way we can tie that to any of the buildings. So we're going to be paying the full shot. When you see the numbers there, there's no aid on it, any of that. And, you know, we were here at Lewiston-Porter going back to 2009, 10, 11, 11, 12. We ate up any major fund balance that was here, reserves here in the district, to offset the massive layoffs that were in the offing. So, you know, we have done an admirable job. Patty's done a truly great job in managing our finances and kind of rebuilding our fund balance and creating some reserve. But you know, it seems that every year we're really not able to put a larger chunk away to address this down the road. So it's going to be something that we're going to just have to deal with. And like I say, I scratch my head because I know I have to deal with it every time I pull in the driveway.
So when this is given to the state, what does the state require of us when they get the building condition survey reports?
So
go ahead.
They use the building condition survey so they can understand across the state what the needs of all the districts in the state are. When you do a capital improvement project, like we did the 2020 project, the state actually goes back at times to the previous building condition survey and says, what items are you addressing that are in here? Because they may give you a little bit hard of a time saying there's all this stuff that needs to be addressed. Why are you doing all of X, Y, and Z instead of A, B, and C that needs to get done?
Okay. But they don't put the hammer down, so to speak, to require these upgrades to be made within a certain time frame?
No, there is no time frame for when.
Unless, of course, it gets into facilities a safety issue, then of course.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's different ratings, like there's satisfactory, unsatisfactory, critical, and there's one other one that's above critical. If you have something that's critical or the one above it, I can't think of what it is offhand. Those are items that, whether SED says it or not, really should be addressed immediately because they're that big of a safety issue. Which, like I said, when we were walking around the district, there was nothing anywhere near that we encountered anywhere.
That's good.
Very good. Anyone else have any questions for Brad? Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, Brad. We will take all of that under advisement and look forward to talking to you again.
All right, thank you. Have a nice
Have a
evening.
great day, Brad.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you, Brad.
All right. At this point, we will move on to our board member comments. And Charlotte Hupsman, you are up first.
Unmute her.
Unmute. Charlotte, you're still muted.
She unmuted herself.
I did.
There we go.
Yay.
So I also wrote down what I wanted to say because there were important things that I thought I needed to say. Not long though. But I'd like to thank the music department for the holiday songs. It's good to see the use of technology to celebrate the students' skills in the holiday season. I continue to be impressed and thankful for the district's transparency with the COVID situation and hope that families are not overwhelmed with the continuing movement within the current situation. Finally, I'd like to wish the Lewiston-Porter family and community a peaceful and healthy holiday season.
Thank you, Charlotte.
I did.
Jennifer Clement.
I also want to thank the music department and all the students that participated in putting those videos together. I think they all did a fantastic job, and I'm so glad they shared them with us because it really was very heartwarming to see some bit of normalcy in all of this. And I just want to wish everyone a happy and safe holiday.
Thank you.
Thank you. And or.
When I was looking through the various reports from the schools, I did make a couple of notes. I want to thank the PEC for having a food drive and also the Nest groups for collecting winter wear. So the students in our buildings are doing good works, even though we're strained at all levels. And there was an interesting project from Mrs. Heidman's class where they had a gratitude box project that was very interesting to read about. I think that's a pretty cool thing this time of year to do a little, have these young kids do a little introspection and, find out what they're grateful for. So that was pretty cool. And thank you to the music department. I have to say it was an eye opener to see how far apart 12 feet really is. For the poor choral students, I remember always having to listen to the person next to me in order to be able to sing on a note. So that was great that they did that. Thank you. Have a wonderful holiday, folks. And we'll see everybody in the new year. Woo!
And I wanted to tell you, I noticed when I drove past your house how beautiful and festive it looked from the outside, and now you inviting us into your living room. It's just as lovely on the inside.
Oh, thank you.
So Merry Christmas. Gemma and Danielle, oh, I'm sorry, Betty, Warwick.
I too would like to wish everyone a happy holidays, and the music was lovely, and it was nice to get that peek inside of what the kids are dealing with here. And I loved how you how they were able to bring in both hybrid students and in-person students and remote students into that those pieces. I guess I just want to say that you know, it's been a very stressful time, obviously, these first few months of the year, and we're just on the cusp of our first major break, and just keep our fingers crossed that we get there without any further incidents and can get through the break and the holidays, and maybe the vaccine right around the corner. Maybe we're looking at the light at the end of the tunnel here. Fingers.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Betty. Gemma and Danielle are not with us, so that I would really, you know, going last, I get to echo what everyone said because they're just wonderful points made by everyone. I mean, to have the kids, to bring them in and hear the, you know, the musical performances, it really was a little bit of normalcy, like Jennifer said, and just heartwarming. And, you know, to pick up what Charlotte was saying as well is that, you know, I've been worried about that too, that this is just so overwhelming for our parents. The news keeps changing and, you know, not because of anything we're doing, just because, you know, we're just every day there's something new and there's more news. And, you know, I can't wait to get back to the point where, you know, we're able to get back to recognizing the accomplishments and talking about, you know, the achievements of the kids and all the cute, adorable things that are happening and bringing kids into our meetings. And this has been exhausting and stressful for everyone. And I just really want to thank everyone for everything they're doing to keep up with all of this and keep it safe and staying on top of their studies and everything. You know, I would, this is the point that we would take a break and go eat, you know, an enormous amount of cookies for dinner. And I would like to get back to that normal board meetings as well, because this is getting old, folks. All right. At this point, I'm going to move on to district operations. I would like to move to approve M1 minutes from our November 23rd regular meeting, if I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Yes.
So carried. I'd like to move to approve M2 minutes from our December 4th, 2020 regular meeting, if I may, or excuse me, work session, if I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Opposed? So carried. I would like to move to approve our consent agenda for financial operations, NF1 through NF4, if I may have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? So carried. We have no old business. But look at all the new business. I would like to move to approve NA1. These are policy revision acceptance of the second readings. As we had discussed during Ann's policy discussion, most of the second reads are the review of the 7,000s. So if I may have a second.
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 All in favor?
Yes.
Any opposed? So carried. I would like to move to approve NA2, approval of the emergency project at the Primary Education Center. If I may have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? I think Patty's given us a really good idea between Patty and Paul of what's going on. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? So carried. I would like to move to approve NA3. This is approval of the revised calendar for 2020-2021. If I may have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yep. Any opposed? So carried. I would like to move to approve NA4, approval of the Seamless Summer Food Service Program Solicitation Try to say that 4 times fast. For personal touch food service contract, if I may have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? So carried. Moving on to pupil personnel, I would like to move to approve MP1 recommendations for CSE placement and amendments, if I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor? Yes?
Yes.
Any opposed? So carried. I'd like to move to approve MP2 recommendations for CPSE placement amendments, if I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Any opposed? So carried. I'd like to move on to our consent agenda for personnel, if I may have a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Any opposed? So carried. And now I would like to move to adjourn.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yay.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry
Thank
Christmas.
you.
Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Andy, thank you for doing that. I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Merry Christmas. And yes,
Thanks,
Paul, I
Andy.
do miss everybody. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas. Happy,
You look like you're holding up there, kid. You're holding up.
Still
All right.
smiling. Still smiling.
Okay.
It's all you can do, Andy. It's all you can do.
Bye, guys.
Bye.